The asterisk solstice asterisk drifted silently through the cold vastness of space, its sleek metallic surface glinting faintly under the distant light of a dying star. On the bridge, Captain Ethan Cole stood with his hands clasped behind his back, staring at the glowing holographic display in front of him. The image showed a swirling wall of energy, the galactic barrier that had kept humanity confined to the Milky Way for centuries. No one knew what lay beyond it. Some called it a prison. Others saw it as protection. Today, Ethan and his crew would find out. Behind him, the hum of activity filled the air. Engineers monitored systems, scientists exchanged quiet theories, and pilots ran final checks on navigation controls. Everyone was tense but focused. This mission wasn't just another exploration. It was history in the making. For years, humanity had dreamed of breaking free from its cosmic cradle, and now, thanks to advancements in technology and sheer determination, they were about to take their first step into the unknown. Dr. Laura Bennett, the ship's lead astrophysicist, approached Ethan with a tablet in hand. Her dark hair was tied neatly into a bun, and her eyes sparkled with excitement. "Captain," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment, "all readings confirm we're within range. The engines are ready for the breach sequence." Ethan nodded without turning around. "Good work, Doctor. Let's hope this goes as planned." He glanced over his shoulder at Commander Ryan Carter, who stood near the helm. Ryan gave a slight nod, signaling that everything was prepared on his end. Ethan trusted Ryan more than anyone else on the ship. They'd served together for years, but even he couldn't mask the flicker of unease in his expression. "Attention, crew," Ethan announced, stepping forward so his voice carried across the bridge. Every pair of eyes turned toward him. "Today, we stand on the edge of discovery. Beyond that barrier lies the Uncharted, a place no human has ever seen. We carry not only our hopes, but the dreams of billions back home. Whatever happens next, remember this: we are explorers. We face the unknown with courage and curiosity." A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. Some smiled nervously, while others exchanged determined looks. Ethan felt a surge of pride. These people weren't just colleagues. They were pioneers. Together, they represented the best of humanity. As the countdown began, the tension grew palpable. The engineers adjusted dials, the pilots gripped their controls, and the scientists held their breath. Outside the viewport, the galactic barrier loomed larger, pulsating with an eerie blue light. It seemed almost alive, watching them, daring them to come closer. 10 seconds to breach," Ryan called out, his tone calm but firm. Ethan took a deep breath. His mind raced with possibilities. What would they find on the other side? New worlds, advanced civilizations, or something entirely unexpected? There was no way to know until they crossed the threshold. 5, 4, 3. The words echoed like a heartbeat. Laura whispered under her breath, though loud enough for Ethan to hear. "Here we go. 2, 1. Initiating breach." Ryan's voice cut through the silence. The ship shuddered violently as the experimental engines roared to life. A blinding flash of light enveloped the asterisk solstice asterisk, and for a brief moment, everyone aboard felt disoriented, as if reality itself had shifted. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the shaking stopped. When Ethan opened his eyes, he froze. Through the viewport stretched a breathtaking expanse unlike anything he'd ever seen. Stars shimmered in unfamiliar patterns, and vibrant clouds of gas painted the void with hues of gold and violet. In the distance, massive structures floated silently, their purpose unclear. The crew erupted into stunned murmurs. They had done it. Humanity had broken through the galactic barrier and stepped into the Uncharted. But as Ethan gazed at the alien beauty before them, a nagging thought crept into his mind. What if they weren't alone out here? The crew of the asterisk solstice asterisk stood frozen in awe as they gazed out at the strange new universe. The colors were richer, the stars brighter, and the vastness more overwhelming than anything they had ever imagined. It was beautiful, but also unsettling. Every detail seemed to pulse with a life of its own, as if the very fabric of space was aware of their presence. Dr. Laura Bennett broke the silence first. This is incredible," she murmured, her voice trembling with a mix of excitement and disbelief. She quickly began typing commands into her tablet, analyzing the readings flooding in from the ship's sensors. "The energy signatures here are off the charts. Nothing matches what we've seen before." Commander Ryan Carter stepped closer to the viewport, his sharp eyes scanning the horizon. "It's quiet," he said cautiously. "Too quiet. Where are the stars we expected? Where are the planets?" His tone carried an edge of unease that made others glance nervously at one another. Captain Ethan Cole moved to join them, his expression thoughtful. "We're the first humans to see this place," he reminded the crew. "Let's not jump to conclusions just yet. This could be exactly what we hoped for, a chance to explore something completely new." But even as he spoke, alarms blared across the bridge. Everyone turned toward the main console, where a young engineer named Mia Torres was frantically working. Her fingers flew over the controls as lines of data scrolled across the screen. "Captain, there's something out there," she said urgently. "A large object, moving fast. It's heading straight for us." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Put it on the display." The holographic projector flickered to life, showing a sleek, elongated shape cutting through the void. The object was unlike any ship the crew had encountered in simulations or records. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal, reflecting the multicolored light of the alien stars around it. As it drew closer, intricate patterns etched into its hull became visible, glowing faintly with an inner light. "Is it hostile?" Ryan asked, his hand hovering near the weapon's control panel. "We don't know yet," Ethan replied. "Hold your fire unless provoked." Laura leaned forward, studying the image intently. "Look at those designs. They're deliberate. Whoever built this isn't primitive. They're advanced, maybe beyond us." Before anyone could respond, the unknown vessel halted abruptly, hovering silently a few kilometers away. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a series of pulses emanated from the craft, rippling through space like waves in water. The pulses struck the solstice asterisk, causing the lights inside the ship to flicker and the consoles to buzz with static. "What's happening?" Mia shouted, trying to stabilize the systems. "I don't think it's an attack," Laura said, though her voice wavered slightly. "These pulses, they feel like signals, maybe some kind of communication." Ethan nodded slowly. "Can you decipher them?" Laura hesitated. "I'll try, but it won't be easy. This isn't language. It's different." She tapped furiously at her tablet, pulling up streams of data. After several tense minutes, she gasped. "Wait, I think I'm getting something. Fragments of images. Symbols. What do they show?" Ryan demanded. "It's hard to tell," Laura admitted. "But I think they're warnings. Something about danger ahead. Or maybe," she trailed off, her brow furrowing, "maybe they're telling us to leave. To go back." The room fell silent. The idea of turning back after coming so far felt unthinkable, but the message sent a chill through everyone. If these aliens were warning them, what did they know that humanity didn't? Ethan crossed his arms, his mind racing. "We can't run now," he said firmly. "Not when we've only just arrived. But we need to proceed carefully. Keep analyzing those signals, Doctor. Ryan, prepare the ship for evasive maneuvers if needed. Let's not take any chances." As the crew scrambled to follow his orders, Ethan glanced back at the alien ship. It remained motionless, watching them, or so it seemed. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were being tested, judged even. Whatever lay ahead, one thing was certain. Humanity's journey into the Uncharted had only just begun. The alien ship remained suspended in space, its glowing patterns shifting subtly as if alive. On the bridge of the solstice, the crew worked tirelessly to make sense of the strange signals it had sent. Dr. Laura Bennett sat hunched over her tablet, her fingers moving quickly across the screen as she pieced together fragments of the message. Her brow was furrowed in concentration, but there was a spark of excitement in her eyes. "I'm getting more images now," Laura said, her voice breaking the tense silence. "They're showing maps, or coordinates, maybe. It's hard to tell." Captain Ethan Cole leaned closer, studying the blurry visuals on her tablet. "Coordinates? To where?" Laura shook her head. "I'm not sure yet, but whatever it is, they seem to want us to follow them." She hesitated, glancing up at Ethan. "Do you think we should?" Ethan straightened, his expression thoughtful. Following an unknown alien vessel into deeper space carried risks, but ignoring their apparent invitation felt like a missed opportunity. "We didn't come all this way to turn back at the first sign of trouble," he said finally. "If they're willing to guide us, we'll take the chance." Commander Ryan Carter frowned, stepping forward. "With respect, Captain, we don't know anything about these beings, or what they want. What if this is a trap?" "It might be," Ethan admitted. "But staying here won't answer our questions. We'll keep our guard up and stay ready for anything." Ryan didn't look convinced, but he nodded reluctantly and returned to his station. The decision made, Ethan gave the order to activate the engines and move toward the alien ship. As the solstice approached, the mysterious craft turned gracefully and began gliding through the void, leaving a faint trail of shimmering light behind it. For hours, the crew followed the alien vessel in silence, watching as it led them farther from the galactic barrier. The stars grew dimmer, replaced by vast clouds of swirling gas that glowed faintly in shades of green and gold. The sight was breathtaking, but unease lingered among the crew. They were venturing deeper into uncharted territory, with no idea of what awaited them. Finally, the alien ship slowed near a massive structure floating in the emptiness. It was enormous, larger than any human-made object, and shaped like a ring tilted on its side. Its surface was covered in intricate carvings that pulsed softly with light, as though the structure itself was breathing. The alien ship stopped nearby and hovered silently, as if waiting. "What is that thing?" Maya Torres whispered, her voice filled with wonder. Laura stared at the display, her eyes wide. "It's incredible. Those patterns. It's some kind of technology. Ancient, maybe. Look how it interacts with the surrounding energy fields." Ethan studied the structure carefully. "Could it be a gateway? Or a station?" "We won't know until we get closer," Ryan said, his tone cautious. "Should we send a probe first?" "No time for that," Ethan replied. "We need answers now. Prepare a shuttle team. I'm going down there." "Are you sure that's wise?" Ryan asked, raising an eyebrow. "You're the captain. If something goes wrong..." "If something goes wrong, you'll be here to handle it," Ethan interrupted firmly. He turned to Laura. "Doctor, you're with me. Let's see what secrets this place holds." As the shuttle detached from the solstice and headed toward the structure, the alien ship vanished without warning, disappearing into the void as suddenly as it had appeared. The crew watched its departure in stunned silence. "Well," Laura muttered, gripping the edge of her seat, "that's one way to say goodbye." Ethan didn't respond. His focus was on the looming structure ahead. Whatever it was, it radiated power and mystery. As the shuttle drew closer, the carvings on its surface began to glow brighter, reacting to their presence. Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, judged even. This was no ordinary discovery. Something far greater, and possibly far older, was waiting for them inside. The shuttle docked at the edge of the massive ring-shaped structure, its surface cool and metallic beneath their feet. Captain Ethan Cole stepped out cautiously, his boots clicking softly against the alien material. Behind him, Dr. Laura Bennett carried a scanning device, her eyes darting between the glowing carvings on the walls and the readings on her tablet. "This place feels alive," Laura whispered, her voice echoing faintly in the vast chamber they had entered. The air was still, yet there was a subtle hum in the background, like the structure itself was breathing. Ethan nodded, gripping his flashlight tightly. "Stay close. We don't know what's waiting for us inside." As they moved deeper into the structure, the carvings along the walls began to shift and change. Patterns that had been static moments ago now pulsed with light, forming intricate shapes and symbols. Some seemed familiar, resembling constellations or mathematical equations, while others were completely alien, twisting lines and curves that defied logic. "Look at this," Laura said, pointing her scanner at one section of the wall. "These patterns are more than decoration. They're data streams, like an archive. This entire structure is some kind of repository." "A library?" Ethan asked, raising an eyebrow. "Not just any library," Laura replied, her voice tinged with awe. "This could be knowledge left behind by whoever built this place, maybe even the same beings who created the galactic barrier." Ethan frowned. "If that's true, then why lead us here? What do they want us to find?" Before Laura could answer, the ground beneath them trembled slightly. A low rumble echoed through the chamber, and the glowing symbols on the walls brightened, casting long shadows across the floor. Then, without warning, a doorway appeared, a circular opening that shimmered with a soft golden light. "Is it safe to go through?" Ethan asked, stepping closer but keeping his hand near his sidearm. Laura hesitated, studying the readings on her device. "I'm not detecting any immediate danger, but we should be careful. This technology is far beyond anything we've encountered." Taking a deep breath, Ethan stepped forward, motioning for Laura to follow. As they crossed the threshold, the room around them transformed. The walls became transparent, revealing a breathtaking view of the surrounding universe. Stars stretched endlessly in every direction, their light filtered through swirling clouds of vibrant gas. In the center of the chamber floated a massive holographic projection, a map of countless galaxies, each marked with tiny symbols. "What is this?" Ethan murmured, staring up at the display. "It's a record," Laura said, her voice trembling with excitement. "A catalog of civilizations. Look at these markers. They represent life forms, planets, even whole star systems." She pointed to one cluster glowing brighter than the rest. "That must be our galaxy, the Milky Way." Ethan's gaze lingered on the glowing marker. "So this is how they see us, just another piece in a much bigger puzzle." As they explored further, the structure responded to their presence. Panels lit up, displaying images of ancient beings, towering figures with elongated limbs and luminous eyes. Their faces were serene, almost peaceful, but there was an undeniable sense of power in their presence. "These must be the creators," Laura said quietly. "They look advanced, beyond anything we can imagine." Suddenly, the hologram shifted, showing scenes of destruction, worlds consumed by fire, fleets of ships clashing in violent battles, entire galaxies collapsing into darkness. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. "What happened here?" "I think this is a warning," Laura replied, her tone grave. "These beings didn't just build the galactic barrier. They sealed off realities to prevent wars between dimensions. But something went wrong. Something broke loose." The final image showed a swirling black void filled with countless glowing eyes, moving relentlessly toward the edges of the map. The sight sent a wave of dread through both of them. "Whatever that is," Ethan said, his voice tight, "it's coming for us." The structure rumbled again, and the golden light dimmed. It was clear their time here was running out. Ethan turned to Laura. "We need to figure out how to use this place, to protect ourselves. If those things are real, humanity needs to know." Laura nodded, determination replacing fear in her expression. "Let's get to work." As Ethan and Laura worked to decipher the alien archive, strange things began happening around them. The glowing symbols on the walls flickered erratically, and the hum that had been constant since their arrival grew louder, almost like a low whisper. At first, they dismissed it as part of the structure's mechanisms, but soon, small malfunctions started occurring. Laura's scanner rebooted itself repeatedly, and Ethan's flashlight dimmed without warning. "This isn't normal," Laura muttered, tapping her tablet in frustration. "The system feels unstable, like it's reacting to something or someone," Ethan replied, his eyes scanning the chamber. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Every shadow seemed to shift just out of sight, and the air felt heavier with each passing moment. Then one of the panels on the wall lit up unexpectedly, displaying an image neither of them had seen before, a humanoid figure cloaked in darkness. Its outline was faint, but its presence was undeniable. Laura gasped, stepping back instinctively. "What is that?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Ethan moved closer to the panel, his hand hovering near his sidearm. "It's not part of the archive. Maybe it's tied to whatever destroyed those civilizations we saw earlier." Before either of them could react further, the image vanished, leaving the wall blank once more. But the unease lingered. Over the next hour, similar incidents occurred. Shadows darting across corners, whispers echoing faintly through the chamber, and equipment behaving unpredictably. Each event left the two scientists more unsettled than the last. Finally, Laura broke the silence. "We need to leave. Now." Her face was pale, and her hand shook as she clutched her scanner. "This place isn't safe. Whatever's here, it knows we're here." "We can't go yet," Ethan insisted, though his grip tightened on his flashlight. "We haven't finished figuring out how to use this archive. Humanity needs these answers." "No, Ethan," Laura snapped, surprising even herself with her sharp tone. "You don't understand. This isn't just interference. It's trying to scare us off. And if we stay much longer, I think it'll do worse than that." Her words hung in the air, heavy with implication. Ethan hesitated, torn between his duty to push forward and the growing sense of danger pressing down on them. Before he could respond, a sudden noise made them both freeze, a soft, rhythmic tapping, like footsteps, coming from deeper within the structure. "Did you hear that?" Laura asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ethan nodded, motioning for her to stay behind him. Slowly, they followed the sound, their flashlights cutting through the dim light. The corridor ahead seemed to stretch endlessly, the carvings on the walls now pulsing faster, almost frantically. The tapping grew louder, echoing eerily in the confined space. When they turned a corner, Laura let out a startled cry. Standing at the far end of the hallway was the same shadowy figure they'd seen earlier, but this time it was clearer. It stood tall, its form shifting slightly as if made of smoke. Two glowing points of light where its eyes should have been locked onto Laura, and she felt her breath catch in her throat. "Laura, move," Ethan shouted, grabbing her arm and pulling her back. The figure didn't chase them, but as they retreated, it raised a hand, pointing directly at Laura. A cold sensation swept over her, and she heard a voice, not with her ears, but in her mind. It whispered her name, low and menacing. Back in the main chamber, they collapsed against a wall, breathing heavily. Laura's hands trembled as she tried to steady herself. "That thing, it knew me," she stammered. "It knew who I am." Ethan frowned, his jaw tightening. "Whatever it is, it's not friendly. We've pushed too far into something we don't understand." But even as he said it, he glanced back toward the corridor. The shadowy figure was gone, but the oppressive atmosphere remained. They had uncovered incredible knowledge, but at what cost? And what else might be lurking in the depths of the structure, waiting to reveal itself? Back in the main chamber, Ethan and Laura tried to regroup, their nerves still rattled from the encounter with the shadowy figure. The structure around them seemed quieter now, but the oppressive feeling lingered like a storm cloud overhead. Laura sat on the edge of a platform, her hands gripping the scanner tightly as she replayed what had happened. "It said my name," she whispered, more to herself than to Ethan. "How could it know me? We've never been here before." Ethan crouched beside her, his voice calm but firm. "We don't have all the answers yet, but we can't let fear stop us. If that thing wanted to hurt us, it would have done it already. Maybe it's testing us. to see how far we're willing to go. Laura shook her head, unconvinced. Testing us for what? To see if we're strong enough, smart enough, or just expendable. Before Ethan could respond, the glowing symbols on the walls began to shift again, rearranging themselves into new patterns. This time, they formed a sequence, a series of steps leading to a console at the center of the chamber. The console pulsed with light, drawing their attention. "What's happening now?" Laura asked, standing cautiously. "I think it's showing us something," Ethan replied, moving toward the console. "Maybe this is our chance to unlock whatever secrets are hidden here." As they approached, the console lit up fully, revealing a complex interface covered in alien symbols. Laura hesitated but then stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. She ran her scanner over the surface, analyzing its functions. "This is incredible," she murmured, her voice steadying as she focused on the task. "It's some kind of control panel, for the archive, maybe even for the entire structure." "Can you activate it?" Ethan asked. "I'll try," Laura said, placing her hands on the console. As soon as she touched it, the symbols glowed brighter, and a surge of energy coursed through the chamber. Images flooded the air around them, holograms of galaxies, civilizations, and strange creatures unlike anything they'd ever seen. But amidst the awe-inspiring visuals, one image stood out, a swirling black void filled with countless glowing eyes. It was the same vision they'd seen earlier, but now it came with context. Text appeared alongside it, written in characters that somehow translated into English inside their minds. "The Unbound," Laura read aloud, her voice trembling. "Entities capable of crossing dimensions. They consume everything in their path. Worlds, stars, entire realities." Ethan frowned. So that's what broke loose. That's what the ancients were trying to contain. The next message sent a chill through both of them. "The barrier weakens. The Unbound sense your presence." Laura looked at Ethan, her face pale. Breaking through the galactic barrier, it wasn't just an achievement. It was a mistake. "We've alerted them to us." Ethan clenched his fists, guilt and determination warring within him. "Then we need to fix it. Can this console help us reinforce the barrier?" Laura studied the interface, her fingers tracing the glowing symbols. "I think so, but it won't be easy. Activating this system requires solving a puzzle, a sequence of commands based on their technology. One wrong move, and we could trigger something worse." "We don't have a choice," Ethan said firmly. "If we don't act now, humanity might not survive what's coming." As Laura worked, the shadows around them grew darker, and the whispers returned, louder this time. The structure seemed to resist their efforts, as if it didn't want them tampering with its systems. But Laura pressed on, her focus unwavering. Slowly, pieces of the puzzle fell into place, and the console responded, lighting up in approval. Finally, she exhaled sharply. "I've done it. I think I've activated the reinforcement protocol. But there's one last step. We need someone to manually initiate the process from inside the structure." Ethan's expression darkened. "What does that mean?" "It means staying behind," Laura said quietly. "Whoever stays will have to ensure the sequence completes while the others escape." For a long moment, neither spoke. The weight of the decision hung heavy between them. Outside, the hum of the structure grew louder, almost urgent. Time was running out, and someone would have to make the ultimate sacrifice. The silence in the chamber was deafening as Ethan and Laura stared at each other, the gravity of the situation sinking in. Someone had to stay behind to ensure the barrier was reinforced, and that someone wouldn't be leaving with the rest of the crew. "I'll do it," Ethan said finally, his voice steady despite the storm brewing inside him. "It's my responsibility. I led us here. I'll make sure we fix this." "No," Laura shot back immediately, her tone sharp. "You're the captain. The crew needs you. Without you, they won't stand a chance against what's coming." Ethan frowned. "Then who?" "You? You're the one who figured out how to activate the system. We need your knowledge to guide humanity through what's ahead." Before Laura could argue further, Ryan Carter's voice crackled over their comms. "Captain, we've got trouble. Sensors are picking up massive energy fluctuations near the galactic barrier. Whatever's out there, it's moving fast." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Understood. Stand by for further instructions." He turned back to Laura. "We don't have time to debate this. If neither of us stays, then—" "I'll do it," a voice interrupted. They both turned to see Lieutenant Harper stepping forward. His face was pale but determined. "I'm not as important as either of you. My job is to keep the ship running. But if staying means saving everyone else, then it's worth it." Laura shook her head. "Harper, no. This isn't your burden to carry." "It's nobody's burden," Harper replied firmly. "But someone has to step up. Let me do this. For humanity." Ethan hesitated, torn between pride and guilt. Finally, he nodded. "If you're sure. Thank you. We won't forget what you've done." Harper managed a weak smile. "Just promise me you'll warn Earth about what's coming. That's all I ask." As Ethan and Laura prepared to leave, Harper stayed behind at the console, his hands hovering over the glowing controls. The structure seemed to acknowledge his presence, the hum growing louder and more insistent. Shadows danced along the walls, and the whispers returned, swirling around him like a chorus of unseen voices. "Hurry," Harper urged, glancing nervously at the shifting darkness. "I don't know how long I can hold it off." Ethan placed a hand on Harper's shoulder. "You're braver than any of us. We'll get word to Earth. Humanity will owe its survival to you." With a final nod, Ethan and Laura hurried back toward the shuttle. As they boarded and sealed the hatch, Harper began the sequence. The console erupted in light, and the entire structure trembled violently. Outside, the swirling black void grew larger, pressing against the barrier as if trying to break through. Back on the Solstice Asterisk, the crew worked frantically to prepare for departure. Ryan monitored the sensors, his expression grim. "Energy readings are spiking. Whatever Harper's doing, it's working, but barely." On the view screen, the alien structure pulsed with blinding light, its carvings glowing brighter than ever before. Then, with a deafening roar, the barrier snapped back into place, sealing off the void once more. The alien ship reappeared briefly, hovering silently before vanishing again. But as the Solstice Asterisk pulled away, Harper's voice came over the comm one last time. "Tell them, we're not alone, but we're ready." Then, static, the Solstice Asterisk raced away from the alien structure, its engines roaring as the crew fought to put distance between themselves and the now sealed galactic barrier. On the bridge, tension hummed thick in the air. No one spoke. Words felt meaningless after what they had just witnessed. Harper's sacrifice weighed heavily on everyone, especially Ethan and Laura, who sat silently at their stations, staring out into the void. Ryan Carter broke the silence first, his voice low but urgent. "Captain, we're clear of the immediate area, but sensors are still picking up residual energy spikes near the barrier. Whatever Harper did, it might not hold forever." Ethan nodded, his expression grim. "Understood. Set a course for Earth. We need to deliver this information, and fast." Laura leaned forward, her hands clasped tightly together. Her mind replayed Harper's final words over and over. Tell them. We're not alone, but we're ready. She couldn't shake the feeling that humanity wasn't truly prepared for what lay ahead. The knowledge they had uncovered, the unbound, the multiverse, the ancient civilization, was overwhelming. How could they possibly prepare an entire planet for something so vast and incomprehensible? As the ship accelerated, alarms suddenly blared across the bridge. Everyone sprang into action, their earlier grief replaced by sharp focus. Maya Torres, stationed at the sensor console, called out, "Captain, there's something wrong with our trajectory. It's like space itself is pulling us back." "What do you mean?" Ethan demanded, stepping closer to her station. Mia tapped furiously at her controls. "I don't know how to explain it, The readings show gravitational anomalies, like the fabric of space is warping around us. We're being dragged toward. She trailed off, her eyes widening as she studied the data. Toward what? Ryan asked sharply. The barrier, Laura whispered, finishing Maya's sentence. It's collapsing again. Ethan's heart sank. How is that possible? Harper sealed it. He gave his life for this. It's not Harper's fault, Laura said quickly, shaking her head. This isn't natural. Something, or someone, is forcing it open. The Unbound must have sensed our presence when we crossed before. They're trying to break through. On the view screen, the once stable barrier began to flicker and distort, cracks appearing in its shimmering surface. Beyond it, the swirling black void loomed larger, pulsating with malevolent energy. Glowing eyes peered through the fractures, countless and unblinking, watching the solstice as if aware of its escape attempt. We can't let them follow us, Ethan said firmly, his voice cutting through the rising panic. If the Unbound reach Earth, it's over. For everyone. Ryan turned to him, his face pale. What are you suggesting, Captain? Ethan hesitated, his mind racing. Then he straightened, his decision made. We'll use the ship's experimental EMP weapon. If we can overload the barrier's remaining energy, it might seal shut permanently, even if it means destroying ourselves in the process. The room fell silent. The weight of his words settled over the crew like a heavy blanket. Sacrifice had already claimed Harper. Now it threatened to take them all. Laura stepped forward, her voice trembling but resolute. There has to be another way. If we die here, who will warn Earth? Who will tell them how to defend against the Unbound? There isn't time to find another solution, Ethan replied, his tone softening. This is the only chance we have to stop them. And maybe it's the only way to honor Harper's sacrifice. Ryan clenched his fists, struggling to keep his emotions in check. Finally, he nodded. If this is what it takes, then I'm with you. All the way. One by one, the crew voiced their agreement, their fear giving way to determination. Ethan allowed himself a brief moment of pride. These were extraordinary people, ordinary humans thrust into an impossible situation, yet willing to stand together against the unknown. Prepare the EMP, Ethan ordered, turning back to the view screen. The cracks in the barrier were spreading faster now, the void pressing closer. Let's make sure no one follows us home. As the countdown began, the solstice drifted nearer to the collapsing barrier. The crew braced themselves, knowing their next move would either save humanity or doom it forever. The countdown echoed through the bridge of the solstice, each second ticking away like a heartbeat. The crew worked in silence, their movements precise and deliberate. Every system on the ship was redirected to power the EMP weapon, a last-ditch effort to seal the collapsing galactic barrier and prevent the Unbound from following them. Outside the viewport, the cracks in the barrier grew wider, revealing more of the swirling black void beyond. The glowing eyes multiplied, staring hungrily at the fleeing ship. Captain Ethan Cole stood at the helm, his hands gripping the edges of the console. His mind raced with thoughts of Harper's sacrifice and the weight of what they were about to do. Destroying the solstice wasn't just an act of desperation. It was a final stand. If they succeeded, humanity might have a fighting chance. If they failed, Earth would face horrors beyond imagination. 30 seconds to EMP activation, Mia Torres announced, her voice steady despite the tension gripping her chest. She glanced up briefly at Ethan, her expression filled with quiet resolve. All systems are online. Ethan nodded, his gaze fixed on the view screen. Good work, everyone. Stay focused. Dr. Laura Bennett moved closer to him, her tablet clutched tightly in her hands. Captain, I've been running simulations. Even if the EMP seals the barrier, there's no guarantee it'll hold forever. We need to warn Earth, prepare them for what's coming. We will, Ethan replied firmly. But first, we finish this. The ship shuddered violently as gravitational forces pulled harder against it, dragging it closer to the fractured barrier. Alarms blared across the bridge, warning of structural stress. Ryan Carter barked orders to stabilize the vessel while keeping one eye on the clock. Time was running out. 20 seconds, Mia called out, her voice rising slightly. Laura hesitated, then stepped forward again. "Captain, let me stay behind. You can take the shuttle and escape. Someone needs to make sure the EMP fires correctly." "No," Ethan said sharply, turning to face her. "You're too valuable. Your knowledge is what humanity needs to survive. I'm staying." Before Laura could argue further, Ryan interjected. "Sir, she's right. You're the leader. If anyone should escape, it's you. Let me handle the EMP." Ethan stared at him, seeing the determination in Ryan's eyes. For a moment, he considered refusing. But deep down, he knew Ryan was right. Someone had to carry the message back to Earth. With a heavy sigh, Ethan relented. "All right, but promise me one thing. You get that shuttle clear before the EMP fires." Ryan nodded. "I promise." 10 seconds, Maya said, her voice trembling now. The crew scrambled into action. Ethan, Laura, and Mia hurried toward the shuttle bay, leaving Ryan alone on the bridge. As they boarded the small craft and detached from the Solstice Asterisk, Ethan watched through the viewport as the main ship drifted closer to the barrier. Ryan's voice came over the comm one last time. "Good luck, Captain. Tell of Earth. We did our best." 5 seconds, Mia whispered, tears streaming down her face. The shuttle sped away, its engines burning brightly against the dark expanse. Behind them, the Solstice Asterisk unleashed the EMP in a dazzling explosion of light and energy. The shockwave rippled outward, sealing the cracks in the barrier and extinguishing the glowing eyes of the Unbound. Silence fell over the void. On the shuttle, the crew sat in stunned silence, watching as the barrier stabilized once more. They had survived, but at a cost. Harper and Ryan were gone, their sacrifices etched into the memory of everyone aboard. Ethan turned to Laura, his voice heavy with emotion. "Their bravery won't be forgotten. Now it's up to us to make sure humanity is ready." As the shuttle set a course for Earth, the crew vowed to honor those who had given everything and to prepare the world for the battle ahead. The shuttle carrying Captain Ethan Cole, Dr. Laura Bennett, and Mia Torres touched down on Earth weeks later, greeted by a mix of relief and disbelief. News of their return had spread quickly, and government officials, scientists, and military leaders gathered to hear their report. The weight of what they had discovered and lost was etched on their faces as they stepped out of the shuttle, weary but determined. Inside a secure briefing room, Ethan stood before a panel of world leaders, his voice steady despite the exhaustion in his eyes. "We crossed the galactic barrier," he began, "and we learned things that will change humanity forever. But we also made enemies, powerful ones. The Unbound are real, and they're coming." He paused, letting the gravity of his words sink in. Laura stepped forward, holding up her tablet to display images and data collected during their mission. "This isn't just about invasion," she explained. "The Unbound consume everything: planets, stars, entire realities. If they break through the barrier again, Earth won't stand a chance." The room erupted into murmurs of fear and disbelief, but Ethan raised his hand to silence them. "We've bought ourselves time, thanks to the bravery of our crew. Harper and Ryan gave their lives to reinforce the barrier and ensure we could deliver this warning. Their sacrifice can't be in vain." One of the officials leaned forward, his face grim. "What do you suggest we do? How do we prepare for something like this?" Laura took a deep breath. "We start by learning from what we found. The alien archive. It contained knowledge far beyond anything we've ever encountered. With time, we can develop new technologies, strengthen our defenses, and maybe even find allies among other civilizations." Ethan nodded. "But more importantly, we need unity. This isn't just one nation's fight, it's humanity's fight. We have to work together if we want to survive. The officials exchanged glances, the enormity of the task sinking in. For the first time, the divisions between countries seemed small compared to the threat looming over them all. Slowly, agreements were made, resources pooled, and plans drawn up. A global coalition was formed, dedicated to preparing Earth for the inevitable day when the Unbound would return. In the days that followed, Ethan and Laura became symbols of hope and resilience. They traveled the world, sharing their story and urging people to look beyond fear and focus on cooperation. Scientists worked tirelessly to reverse engineer the alien technology, while engineers built new ships capable of defending Earth, or crossing the barrier again if needed. As Ethan stood under the night sky one evening, gazing at the stars, he felt a strange mix of emotions. Grief weighed heavily on him, for Harper, for Ryan, for everyone who had sacrificed so much. But there was also a flicker of hope. Humanity had faced challenges before, and each time, it had risen stronger. Thinking about them, Laura asked softly, joining him outside. Ethan nodded. Yeah, I just wish they could see what we're doing now. All the progress we've made because of them. They know, Laura said firmly. And wherever they are, I think they'd be proud. Ethan smiled faintly, turning his gaze back to the stars. Somewhere out there, beyond the galactic barrier, lay answers, and perhaps allies willing to stand with humanity against the Unbound. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but Ethan knew one thing for certain. Humanity wasn't alone anymore. Together, they would face the Uncharted. And whatever came next. As the two stood quietly beneath the endless expanse of space, the hum of activity continued behind them, a reminder that the fight had only just begun.